Welcome to this Automation World video podcast sponsored by Schneider Electric. In this podcast, we'll look at how businesses can empower their employees to become more active participants in real-time operations by using cloud and mobile technologies. I'm David Greenfield, Director of Content at Automation World, and joining me for this discussion is Saadi Kermani, Business Development Manager for Information Management Software as a Service at Schneider Electric. So Saadi, with all of the technology trends impacting industry today, ranging from the industrial Internet of Things and software as a service cloud offerings to mobility, what suggestions do you have for customers who are considering moving operations data to the cloud?
Start small, start incremental, and start today. Customers are hearing a lot of hype about all kinds of technology trends, but I think what they really need is something real from a partner that they can trust and something they can experience themselves. And at Wonderware, we have a portfolio of products that helps them do just that. There's something for everyone, and they can start small, they can start incrementally, and they can start today. And they can experience for themselves in a very meaningful and practical way exactly what the technologies that we have to offer based on a subscription can do to augment their existing investments in automation and help them take advantage of all these technologies so they can experience a competitive differentiation to the rest of the market, get ahead, and still, without compromising on cybersecurity, feel safe and secure about their investments.
Now, beyond the IIoT technologies themselves, there's also a lot going on with connectivity as it relates to IIoT. Can you highlight some of the key protocols that are increasingly being used to push data to the cloud?
All of our solutions that are leveraging these technologies are based on standard protocols that have been accepted in the market and proven out in the market. And examples of that is anything that is TCP/IP based, so that these are IT friendly and routable. And one particular example that's emerging is MQTT. And now we're happy to say that we support that protocol that is IoT specific, along with our existing product set, so customers can quickly integrate whatever they have with us with these new emerging technologies, and we use that to route that to the cloud securely.
Now, looking beyond the technological capability to move data to the cloud and access it from anywhere, what value does this bring to the user?
Customers who move data to the cloud suddenly make this information available to a whole range of people that previously didn't have access to this information. And the reason why that happens is because suddenly that information is so much more accessible, and it's a lot more convenient. And it's available in a form factor that makes sense for every person's context, whether that is a browser-based experience on a desktop PC, or through a mobile device because they're a remote worker out in the field, or through a tablet that they might be carrying around in their truck or walking around the plant and needing to pull up different information as they walk through the assets. Most importantly, it also unburdens customers from the responsibility of managing, monitoring, and maintaining all the IT-related costs and infrastructure and all the duties around high availability, disaster recovery, cybersecurity, and all the rest of it that goes into making sure that this system is always highly available and robust and that their end customers can depend on the service.
Until very recently, cloud discussions with industrial customers were usually a non-starter. End users just had too many concerns about having their data reside in the cloud. And even though attitudes are changing around this, there's still some level of concern. So how do you alleviate your customers' fears about putting their data into the cloud?
Customers are always worried about whether or not it's the safe thing to do to put data into the cloud. And at Wonderware, with our solutions, we've made huge investments right across the organization, from the way that we managed our teams, to the way that we are managing some of the technologies, to the way that we're consulting with some of the best, most advanced players in the market about how they're solving similar challenges. And what I can say is that the result is that we are lowering the risk, lowering the cost, and putting a lot of emphasis and a lot of effort into maintaining very high levels of cybersecurity so that customers feel safe and they feel like they can take that first small incremental step with us.
Let's look at a key application for cloud-based storage. And by that I mean using the cloud as a centralized storage point for data generated by remote assets or sites. Can you provide some insight into that?
Wonderware Online, which is the Wonderware Historian offered as a managed service, is really amazingly flexible for anyone and all kinds of different use cases. Let me give you some examples. There are many customers that have really no infrastructure out in their operations because they're remote or they're not close to kind of any urban centers, or typically they haven't had the benefit of very widespread cellular or satellite type connections. What we can do for those people in combination with some low-cost sensors with the attractive and affordable price points of a cloud-based solution is give them an enterprise-class historian and power and capabilities at a fraction of the cost. For our other customers that have some investment into some of our products, such as many of our HMIs, but they still don't have a historian, we can also enable them to start to capture this data digitally from their assets and then store that securely with the Wonderware Online Historian service, and also again at a very affordable price point. For those customers that already have a large investment with our Wonderware portfolio and perhaps they're using System Platform, we also have an answer for them. Wonderware Online is not only a tier 1 or primary historian, but it can also act as a secondary or tier 2 historian. And that means customers at a certain scale of investment that have historians already on premise can then leverage this hybrid deployment to replicate data from their existing multiple tier 1s, which may cover multiple regions or sites, and then replicate that into one centrally managed, globally accessible online historian. And again, with all the ease of use and accessibility of our clients, spanning mobile and browser, once again, everyone can take advantage of that information quickly and easily with a centralized view of their business.
Now, do you have any specific customer examples you can reference related to this?
Let me share with you 3 examples of 3 different customer types that have been able to leverage these services to their advantage. One such customer is in the water wastewater industry. That customer had a need of getting information out to their mobile workforce that was busy driving around between different parts of their facility. And so they quickly signed up for Wonderware SmartGlance, which is our cloud-based offering that puts information into the hands of the mobile workforce based on any time series or even SQL Server-based data structures. And when that customer implemented SmartGlance, they were quickly able to empower their workforce to make better and faster decisions, to be more proactive into managing their process with push notifications that they received. And the most important factor is that the solution stuck. After they adopted Wonderware SmartGlance, all of the personnel only needed very little training to get started. They started to use it on a regular basis, and it really became part of their daily habits. Therefore, really codifying the use of that technology into their daily work habits. One other example that I can think of is in the pharmaceutical industry. This customer, at first I thought, was going to push back on using a cloud-based solution, given that in the pharmaceutical industry, the requirements are very stringent for how information is managed, and especially for validation. But in talking with the IT department of this pharmaceutical company, they realized that they had already started to outsource some other IT functions, such as their whole mail server. And so in talking with them, they actually had an open mind to using this. And after reviewing what we had to offer, they were okay with the standards that we were meeting and the amount of effort that we were putting into protecting their data, and they adopted the solution. And in their particular case, they were using Wonderware SmartGlance to monitor the environmental conditions of rooms that they had to use, that they were being used to manage bacterial growth. So they would monitor things like temperature and humidity and the quality of the air and make sure that that environment was kept and maintained sterile and perfect for the management of their bacteria. And that allowed not only the people that were directly managing those environments manage or monitor all of those conditions, but also support staff or complementary staff that were interested from a more management standpoint across multiple projects to also stay on top and have a holistic view. An industrial, building materials, and wood products company uses Wonderware SmartGlance to remotely monitor their facility, and they use SmartGlance to actually communicate with each other in what is normally considered a very harsh environment. It's extremely loud in their environment, and the ability to quickly look at their mobile device and check the status of something sometimes enables them to overcome communication gaps that they otherwise would have had to deal with in this sort of harsh environment.
So, we talked a little bit earlier about alleviating users' concerns about storing data in the cloud. But more specifically, what about cybersecurity? Can you speak to how you limit users' potential vulnerabilities?
We take a number of steps to give confidence to our customers that they have a way to manage and limit the amount of risk that they would be exposed to when signing up for a cloud-based service. Examples of things that we do are organizational changes where we've made a very senior member of our organization responsible globally for cybersecurity. We have one person that is concerned about making sure that as a company, we are paying attention to this and it's part of our DNA. From an R&D perspective, we follow the Microsoft Security Development Lifecycle. And in fact, we are leading certification in the SDLA assurance programs where we have 3 global R&D centers certified in this practice. And the consequence of that is that all of our developers, when they write code, are forever conscious of making sure that we are not introducing any vulnerabilities into our code and that they're following the best practices of cybersecurity. We are also hiring third parties who come and audit our services to make sure that we are not missing anything or not exposing any vulnerabilities that can be compromised. And further, if it ever should happen that a vulnerability is discovered with our services, we have in our organization a dedicated cybersecurity incident response team called CSIRT that has the ability to immediately react and divert resources to fix the problem. And because R&D as well is following the practices of rapid development and flexible agile release, we can react and release patches and fixes to those issues in a very short turnaround time, therefore giving our customers the assurance that if an issue should be found, we would resolve that immediately. We also work with key partners and their cybersecurity teams to learn what they do and how they limit and manage risk, and we incorporate those same principles into our products so again, our customers benefit. And all of our solutions are based on market-proven, open, standard technologies. There's nothing that we do that is black box or that is proprietary. And so therefore, all of our customers have an opportunity to look themselves, all the standards that we use, and to discover why that is a great choice for them and helps them feel secure about our solutions.
Now, even though all this movement toward IIoT is really just getting started, a lot of specific applications and directions for the concept are starting to become more clear. So given where things stand today, what do you think customers will expect in the future from managed services?
Where I think all of this is going eventually is that systems have to become more knowledgeable and they have to contribute more in the interactions that they have with us as human beings and also with other services. And to put this into a little bit of context, let me just reflect for a second on where we're coming from an information management perspective in the past. Historically, we've been very good at being able to tell people what happened. Once something happened, then after the fact, we could go back and take a look at it and then surface that so our customers could understand. And then as time went on, as technology increased, and we leveraged those technologies into our products, continuously trying to be innovative, we got better at answering the next logical question, which was, what's happening right now? And if you continue this logical progression, we got to the next stage, which is, how did I get here? Which is not only the combination of what's happening right now, what's the status of my business, but what happened in the past, and give me some context so I know how exactly the conditions got created so that I'm in the situation that I'm in. Then just continuing on, the next step is what is likely to happen. And this is kind of where we are today. All of our systems and our software are starting to incorporate or make available, even as a specialized offering, the ability to do predictive analysis. Predictive analysis on the likelihood of an asset experiencing maybe a failure or wear and tear, and then therefore having a very advanced capability of knowing when to proactively take action to avoid something that would have likely happened. And if you look at what's going on in the consumer world and all of the sectors that are really at the forefront of technology, the next logical progression is using things like artificial intelligence. And that is about a recommendation system. And so we're going to get to the point eventually where everyone is going to expect to just fully interact with technology like another person and not only understand what is happening right now, but what is likely happen and what they should do proactively as a recommendation from the system, taking into consideration a whole slew of variables so that they can have the best outcome. And not only that, but to get that information at a moment in time where if they take the action now, they can influence the outcome. So it's not a question of what happened, and it's going to no longer be a question of what's happening right now, but actually having the confidence to know that every periodic cycle, you are taking the best decision supported by the best information with the best tools so that you're constantly getting the best outcome. And if for whatever reason that changes, you can know that deviation and then you can adjust.
Okay, Saadi, one last question. Now, I've heard you use the phrase any to any, many to many several times before. Can you explain what you mean by that?
One of the ways that we try to let customers understand how simple to use and how flexible our solution is with this little catchphrase, any to any, many to many. Simply, any means any Wonderware offering or Schneider Electric offering can serve as a data source for our Wonderware Online or cloud-based solutions. And in fact, coming soon, even standard industry protocols will serve as a data source for our cloud-based offerings. The second any means that customers can consume that data from any data source, whether it's on mobile phones, tablets, browsers, or large screen TVs. In the many-to-many part of that expression, we mean that there are many types of data that can come into our system. We support things as down to the level of IoT, such as using MQTT, or we support things such as from HMIs, where real-time data, or we support historical data, for example, our Historian Tier 1 on-premise historian, or we support custom data through our Historian SDK. And then there are many ways to get the data out of our system to make it absolutely easy to manage and analyze that data in whatever fits best for you. So that means whether sharing it by a secure link to a named individual or somebody else in your organization, or whether you want to push that, again, like I said, to mobile devices, or whether you want to download your data into a CSV file format, or even if you want to just extract a portion of our visualization, graphs, and charts into your own custom SharePoint portal.
Well, thank you, Saadi, and thank you for joining us for this video podcast. For more information, please visit the website shown here.